it is halfway through 2014 already. It's the June 1st edition of Whatever with Don and Justin, and you know what that means.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I had no idea, actually, until you just said that, and gosh, I feel old.
Yeah, whatever. 'Cause this is my United States or whatever. And this is my United States or whatever.
I feel like we should know what this track is. Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? I wait for it to kick in. I think it was 47 years ago today, actually. That's right. So, today, June 1st, 47 years ago, the Beatles' album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, was released.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the anniversary today. That was kind of cool. I
Dang.
just found that out. I remember the day when it came out, like, very vividly. I was negative 15, and I was kind of like floating around in the air, like one of those trash bags in Watch Dogs. Yeah, man, this brings me back. Wow, it's crazy. So anyway,
Oh. Hi, Don.
and speaking of enjoying the show, thank you for joining us tonight. Hopefully, you will enjoy tonight's episode of Whatever with myself, Don.
And myself, Justin.
That's right. And tonight we're going to talk about a couple things. We're going to talk about Watch Dogs.
Oh, yes.
I've been playing the game. Justin's been playing the game. Hopefully you've been playing the game because I kind of like it. And I guess we'll kind of review it if you want, Justin. I'd like to just kind of talk about impressions
Yeah,
of it. And,
definitely.
and then after that we'll talk about something else relating sort of to Watch Dogs, because it was pretty much like this generation's first real kind of anticipated title, I guess, right?
Yes.
Because
yeah, it was like the first thing really showed off that was like, this is on next gen.
Right, because in 2012 it was revealed as not. I think they kind of danced around like what platform it was aimed at initially. They didn't say it was for last gen consoles as well until later. Like they
They
kind
were
of
just like wink, wink.
yeah, they were like, hey, this is possibly next gen. Like. So anyway, and then the big thing with the downgrade supposed happening and all that stuff. So like we'll talk about that, and I want to talk about gamers' expectations and like where they were set, and did Watch Dogs meet them, and if it didn't, what happened, and was it like hyped wrong? Was it marketed inappropriately? That kind of stuff. So we'll talk about that too. But anyway, let's get into the discussion about the game itself first of all. So how far are you into it, Justin?
Well, to be honest, I'm almost done with Act 1, but
Okay. So you're farther along than I am, actually.
oh, okay. But I mean, I've been messing around with all the other stuff so much
Right.
that's why.
Exactly. That's my problem too. There's a lot of side stuff to do, and you know me, I like to screenshot stuff, and I've been playing the PC version, which is it's kind of a mess right now, honestly. It's not well optimized from what I can tell, but yeah, so a lot of things have sidetracked me.
Well, yeah. I mean, it doesn't help that there's a million and one things to do, and then the fact that then you can get invaded, and it's just kind of like one of those like, crap, what am I gonna do now? I was getting ready to get to the main mission. Nope.
Yeah, there's obviously as everyone probably knows, there's a story mode to it, but yeah, it's pretty much kind of always online. It's not like DRM always online, but you're always connected to the internet basically, and if you are, then you can be invaded, kind of Dark Souls style, right?
Yeah.
And
That's how I would put it.
yeah, you can. It's literally, they call it being invaded, and it's like that. It's also reminiscent of Need for Speed Rivals and Most Wanted. Those two past games, and then I'm trying to think of something else that was similar to it. But anyway, basically, I haven't had a lot of invasions happen to me. I think I've only had like a couple, and I haven't played a whole lot of the multiplayer stuff. But I've heard it's actually fun and like really intense at times.
Yeah, I played a little bit, but yeah, it's not bad. But I even though there's multiplayer, I think aside from the hacking thing, it really is more focused on the single player
right?
aspect.
Yeah, and there's a lot to do in the single player, like we were talking about. While you're just driving along, you'll get notifications of like side missions, and you can just set a waypoint like while you're driving to go do the side stuff. And you can also just open up the map and find missions like strewn all around the city, that kind of stuff.
I think one of the big things too that really just kills time and gets you, like, at least for me, is the fact that you have your little phone and you can highlight people and it tells you like what their job is or their income. And I'm always curious just to see what that says. And then you can hack some of the people and get their money or hear a phone conversation or hear a text. And there's a lot of that stuff in there that doesn't repeat. I mean, I've had a couple times where stuff's repeated, but I'm surprised how much content and dialogue there has been that hasn't been a repeated thing.
Yeah, it's really impressive the scale of the depth that they went into with the detail, because it's similar. It's gameplay is similar to pick your open world game, right? But the attention to detail and like just really really minute stuff kind of sets it on another level for me personally, because walking around, like I said, I'm on a PC version. I'm able to play with pretty much max settings and lock it to 30 frames per second. But walking around and looking at like the wind blowing through the trees and like I said, the garbage flying down the street and the rain and all that stuff. It like when you're walking, because I turned off the HUD. I don't like the mini map on my screen, but without all that stuff in the way, like it's really immersive, because you're walking around and you're seeing all these people just going about their lives, doing stuff that normal people would do. It's pretty cool. But I guess like the funny thing to me is like when you get in a car and you start driving, it turns 100% on its head into like open world kind of arcadey. You know what I mean? Like you can just drive over everything and just like knock down power poles and everything without consequence to your car. Yeah, and then like that's completely like at odds with the rest of the world basically, because they try to make it look so real. And then stuff like that happens, and you realize like it wouldn't be fun if that didn't happen, right? Like if you just drove your car into a power pole trying to escape the cops, and you just came to a complete stop every time, like that wouldn't be fun.
Yeah.
It would be hard to get away from things.
It's that balance of what would make a nice mechanic, versus real life stuff, and I don't think everybody always thinks about that.
No, they don't.
They just kind of like, oh, that's stupid, or oh, that's whatever. And to another mention, I've noticed particularly with this game, which I think is interesting, is that I seem to see a lot of people complaining about glitches or random things occurring, and I'm like, this isn't new. Like GTA has it, Sleeping Dogs has it. Anything that's remotely open world usually has some issues, because there's so much to the game that they can't possibly squash every single thing.
Yeah, I haven't encountered very many glitches. Like I've encountered a couple. I've seen some videos on YouTube, of course, of some like I consider them to be freak things, like falling through the world and stuff like that. Because I haven't encountered any of that. The only glitchy stuff I've encountered is like AI driving erratically, stuff like that. Like I've seen fire trucks run over civilians and stuff like that. Like it's just silly stuff.
See, for me too, in playing games like that, that's kind of the fun, I think, because I think it's hilarious seeing some of these.
It is funny.
Yeah, I took a picture. I posted on Twitter 2 different pictures. I was playing the other day, and one of them was I was just walking. Nothing crazy going on. I was just kind of checking out an area, and next thing you know, I see a coffee cup, like a coffee cup, just floating in midair, and I'm like, huh, well, that's interesting. And then the other incident that happened is I crashed my car into a tree. The funny thing about that is the car actually went through, clipped through the tree, but then whatever broke the clipping, like reset itself, and the car could not move. It was stuck. The tree was straight through the hood.
Nice.
And then I made him hide. And I'm like, they'll never catch me.
It's really hard to notice that. That's the thing, though. Like I enjoy the glitches in these open world games sometimes. Like you said, they're fun to have happen, and it's funny to like like see people complaining about something like, you know, the enemy's not reacting realistically whenever, you know, whenever you're doing the stealthing around and stuff like that. I'm like, do you really want really like actual human smart AI to, like, you know what I mean, like to counter everything you do?
Well, you know what
when you're
happened, right?
in a stealth game? It's just like, oh man.
You know what would happen if that ever happens, right?
What?
It's too hard. I don't like
Oh yeah,
it.
yeah. That's the thing. Like you have to strike a balance between it. Like we were talking last week, Wolfenstein. Wolfenstein's stealth, like it's fun because the AI is so stupid. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they have the worst vision ever in human history, and it's fun because of that. Like if you just step out in the open and you're spotted immediately from like a mile away, that's not fun either. You know?
No, it's not.
And that's go ahead.
Oh, and I was gonna say, and I just think it's funny because all these people think, oh, we got newer systems, we should have better stealth, and it's like, dude, the stealth mechanics have been the same since forever now. It seems like, you know,
Yeah.
it originally just started with you can't have them facing you when you're in their direction. Now you got vision cones, and
I
this
think
and
it's
that, but
funny.
like,
I think it's funny the how the game plays like it's like two different genres like thrown together basically. Like you got the open world stuff, right? Just like it's typical open world stuff basically is what it is, and it's like, you know, you got the hacking thrown in, which is cool, but it doesn't.
yeah, it is cool.
I don't know if I'd consider it more of a gimmick, but it's like, you know, it's just it's kind of like an extra little thing to like play around with. It doesn't really change fundamentally the game design or anything.
Yeah, it's a different sense of the game. Like when you hack into the cameras and you don't even go in a building, like you just hack your way
That stuff's
through.
pretty cool. Yeah, I like being able to do that. But what I was saying was like when you go into a mission, right, and you have the option of like clearing out an area, you know, or you can just like sneak through, or you can just go guns blazing, right? Just like it's like Wolfenstein, and it's cool because it plays a lot like Splinter Cell Blacklist, right? But it's like it's like a less functional Splinter Cell Blacklist, I guess, because you can't move bodies or anything like that. But at the same time, you know, it's an open world game. It's just
It gives you that stealth.
yeah, it just kind of like just like transforms immediately into like a shooter slash, I don't know, like it's just it's an interesting way of going about it, I guess.
Well, and you know what? I actually think that most open world games do stealth horribly. So I think Watch Dogs does a pretty damn good job of it.
I do too. I like just headshotting guys with a silenced pistol. That's a lot of fun. Just walking through. It has a nice like feedback feel to it whenever you shoot the guys too, because you hear this like crunch noise when you hit them in the head. It goes. This is headshot, and you're like yes. But yeah, I mean, you know, you have to strike a balance with like the difficulty, like you were saying, and the realism, which is, I don't know. I'm playing on normal. I'm not playing on realistic. There is a realistic difficulty. I'm not sure like how different it is, because I know they have the realistic difficulty in Splinter Cell Conviction, and I think in Blacklist too. And I know the difference basically was you would die in like 2 shots instead of 10.
That's probably how it is here.
But yeah, it's still not realistic. Actually realistic. It's just like more realistic as in you're more vulnerable to bullets. That's pretty much what it is. The AI doesn't really change. But yeah, like the I don't know, it's just an interesting game to me because there's just so many different things that it tries to do, but I don't think that it like masters any of them, which is fine. That's perfectly fine. And I just I don't know, like it's kind of what I expected, I guess. And I didn't expect, Game of the Year material, to be perfectly honest with you. Why? Because it's a new IP, and it's kind of a new idea. It's like a new take on an old idea, I guess you'd say, because it's like I said, open world. Ubisoft knows open worlds. Obviously, that's like their specialty now, and that's like it has the Assassin's Creed stuff in it, like I thought it might. You can't scale buildings like that, but. Like it's just kind of derivative, I guess. And
well, it's funny that you say Assassin's Creed because I think that when Assassin's Creed 1 came out, I remember playing it and I was like, this has a really good engine. There's some really cool ideas, but they don't really take it to the next level. And then Assassin's Creed 2 came out and did, in my opinion.
Exactly, and that's what I was going to say. Is like I feel like this is a good basis. It's a good base to start from for a new IP because. Say what you will about Assassin's Creed. Personally, I thought it was kind of boring because it was like super repetitive. It was.
You did the same thing.
Yeah.
You just kill targets.
Exactly, and it was just like, it was cool because the aesthetic was nice, the
engine was nice.
animation's top notch, and that's one thing in this game too. The animation's fantastic. Like I don't know, like I didn't find Assassin's Creed initially to be all that engaging, but I actually find this game to be a lot of fun at times. And then the basic stuff like it does, like the story to me is really kind of throwaway. I really don't care. I'm not that into it. Like the Aiden, his character design, it seems kind of lazy to me. I don't know. Like it's just like, like to look badass hacker in a trench coat. That's basically.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like you said though. I think they were kind of going for this realism thing. They didn't want to do anything too far fetched.
But he stands out so much. Like it's like he's supposed to be like, I don't know, like fitting in with the world, but he's the only person dressed like that. And then he walks around and he like puts this stupid scarf over his face when he pulls out a gun, and I'm like, yeah, that's gonna fucking trick him.
Yeah, they don't know. Well, remember,
nobody's gonna know who that is.
If you see him on the camera, he's always blurred out.
Right, that's true.
Yeah.
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 Remember, because he's a hacker.
The countless witnesses. Let's not forget those.
If you want to learn how to hack, all you got to do is play Watch Dogs.
Pretty much. It is like the quintessential like Hollywood hacking that the game does. With like a UI for everything and like, oh, you just hold X. That's all you gotta do. Just hold X.
It makes it much more exciting than actual hacking is.
Yeah, exactly. You can hack into the Pentagon with an Xbox controller. Didn't you know? It's easy.
Yeah.
Just hold X.
Hack the Gibson, baby.
It's just, yeah, it super simplifies everything, which is fine. That's great because you don't want it to be confusing, because if it was, then it's
you wouldn't get it.
Yeah, and
most people wouldn't get it.
That's the thing too. Like people are complaining about it being cross-gen, and saying that the last-gen consoles held it back. I'm not going to argue with that. I think it probably did, but they want it to sell to everybody,
Yeah,
so
cross-gen is here, and it's not going to leave for a little while.
Right. They're trying literally to get this thing to be the biggest IP of all time, and from what I read, it sold more than any game ever from Ubisoft on day one.
Yeah.
So like, it's off to a roaring start as far as that goes, I guess.
Well, and it's funny, the whole expectations thing we're talking about, because I was actually talking about the game to some coworkers who hadn't played it yet, and we're walking down the hallway going to the cafeteria. And we're walking in there, and then I'm talking about it. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And this guy behind me goes, hey, how is that game? Because he overhears my conversation. So, oh, man, I was like, I'm really liking it. But I was like, I wasn't really super excited to play it. I just was like, I want to check it out. He goes, yeah, man, I've been hearing a lot of people say it's bad. And I was like, I don't know, not me.
Yeah, what? Like, it's not bad. If you think it's bad, then I don't know. It's you got to play some actual bad games like you have been on your channel to appreciate how good it actually is compared to those.
Going from Watch Dogs to Bad Boys 2, there ain't no comparison.
Now, if you want to say like it's lacking, I guess you could make an argument for that, sure, because there's like I said, there's nothing that it does. I feel like there's nothing that it does super in depth, and there's a lot of things that feel kind of unfinished, I guess, like not fleshed out really.
Yeah.
Like for example,
it almost feels like a time killer.
Yeah, it kind of does. Yeah, like we were talking about, we get sidetracked with all the side stuff, and I don't really, I don't feel compelled to go do the campaign missions like I do Grand Theft Auto or something. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm not involved in the story so much. I just want to know what happens next. So like, I'll just drive around and wreak havoc, or like I've been just walking around enjoying the ambience of everything.
Well, have you noticed that Ubisoft's games, they have a tendency not to have the greatest like main characters? Like
yeah. They're super generic.
Far Cry,
yeah,
Assassin's Creed, and I mean, I don't think there's anything inherently bad about that. Now, granted, Assassin's Creed 2, Ezio was probably their best character.
Yeah, he had a lot of charisma. That was the thing. Aiden is really dry. Like, I don't know. Like, what is that noise?
Oh no, it's a ghost.
So anyway, somebody's turn a faucet on in the bathroom.
And you're right. Like, he's dry, but that might just be the way they actually wrote him. Like, that's kind of a different topic for another video or another podcast. But I also have to think that sometimes it's like, unless you're suave or funny, people don't like your character.
Yeah, you want to connect with the guy. Like you want one-liners and somebody you can root for. And I feel like Aiden isn't really that guy. See,
I don't want that all the time.
Well, that's fine. I mean, he's just basically kind of like an avatar. Like he's not. Yeah. He doesn't really have any personality that I can identify with. The problem I have with this though is I don't know. Did you play Splinter Cell Blacklist?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't beat it, but I played.
They literally like stripped Sam Fisher's personality out of
yes,
his character in that
it
game.
did.
Like, it feels kind of similar to that to me. Like, you don't have anything to connect with him on an emotional level at all anymore. Like, before, Michael Ironside did a fantastic job, like, bringing that character to life. And I have to think that had a lot to do with it, But
Yeah. Well,
that was the
see,
thing,
and
though.
I think and that's a kind of a different thing too, because see, you had that establishment
Yeah,
of the
that's the
character,
thing.
so it was really, really different. I think what Ubisoft was trying to do with Watch Dogs, with the whole intro and everything, is just like, you're a man, you're a hacker, you done bad things happen because you did bad things, and you're just depressed as shit because of it. That's just basically how I take it. Like, he's very serious.
Just a reason to move and do things in the game.
Yeah, like it's just kind of like he's not a character that is
Here's why
supposed to
you're
be
here.
loved.
Yeah, that's true. I don't get that he. Obviously, they didn't want him to be, I don't know. I don't think that he'll show up again in the next game. It feels
All
like
they had to do was put Nolan North. Hey guys, how's it going?
he feels like the new Altair basically. Like, I think he's probably just going to get like a game, and then the next one will probably focus on a new character or something. I don't know. Like, I haven't reached the end obviously, but it just seems to me like he's kind of a throwaway character, kind of like Connor was in AC3 or something. It's just kind of, I don't know. Like, I love to have like that charismatic character as the lead.
Well,
Personally,
yeah,
but
I get that. I understand. I mean, I love charismatic characters too, but when they all start being charismatic, AKA Nolan North being rolled in a lot of games, it gets annoying. Like, for a while there was like Uncharted, Dark Void, and a couple other games, and I'm like,
God, he was in Dark Void too. I forgot about that.
yeah, and I was like, stop it. Just stop
Well,
it. You're the same character.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is they ask him to do that voice. They're like, "Hey, we want the Drake voice," and he's like, "I can do other voices." And they're like, "No, we want that voice." And people go, "Nolan, why do you always do that character?" And he's like, "'Cause they pay me to."
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say no, but I guess, yeah, I don't get Nolan North or Troy Baker to do it, obviously, but you know what I mean. Like, just make him likable at least a little. Like, he just seems so dry and he just wanders around, and he has the Batman voice, and it sounds
All they
generic
had
as
to
all
do is
hell.
add one line. Cheep, 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 cheep.
Man, I
cheep,
tell
cheep,
you,
cheep.
it's just, I don't know, like I said, I like to have a guy I can relate to.
I understand, and I do get that. I understand.
It's fine. Like, I don't have to relate to him, but I might as well just be able to like create a character based on myself. If you're not going to make, you know what I mean? Like, make
Yeah, I
him
know.
like a me or something, and just like give him my face and
Oh,
all
it's
that
Don.
stuff. Yeah, look,
I'm a butthole. Hey,
Look, it's
everybody,
Don.
look, hack.
I'm here, right here. What's going on?
Yeah.
But
I was gonna say that I do think though that as a new entry, as a new IP, as a new open world game, I think it still differentiates itself from GTA, Sleeping Dogs. Like, Sleeping Dogs kind of had like the melee combat thing going on in it.
Right.
GTA has the over the top humor, hilarity, and just craziness in it. And I think this one kind of goes more for the hacking thing, the stealth. And I like it.
serious
it's,
business.
Yeah, it's serious business.
It's a very serious, dark story. Ugh,
Where's
take it
Mr.
seriously.
Bam?
It's I'm Aiden Pierce. I'm gonna get those guys for taking out. Was his daughter? I forgot already.
I don't know.
See, I don't even remember. That's the problem. That's a problem right there. Ubisoft. But anyway, yeah, he could. I mean, they could have just had him go like,
Chicken, Peter, you just do chicken.
Cheep, 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 cheep.
it would have been easier if it's more relatable that way. That's the main thing. But
Yeah.
yes. Anyway.
Can't believe you just played that, but I love you for it.
it would be interesting to have Tommy Wiseau in Watch Dogs. That would be different. Anyway,
Yeah. A man who's a hacker wants his life back. I did not hack him. I did not.
I did not, Lisa. I did not hack him. Did not. Oh, hi,
Oh,
Mark.
hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Aiden. That'd be great, man. That'd be amazing. Actually, I want to Watch
Get him
Dogs.
to voice characters at games.
Oh, that would be hilarious. They should totally do that, like with some B tier games, like, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like Deadly Premonition kind of games where they just immediately
hell
like
yeah.
try to go cheesy. That would
I
be
know we
that'd be
totally went off
fantastic.
topic here, but
No, we
hell
didn't really.
Yeah.
But so anyway, Watch Dogs. I don't know what I'd rate it, but probably 4 out of 5. I like it so far.
Yeah,
It's
I would
fun.
probably say so far it would be a 4 out of 5 for me.
It's fun, and it's like I said, not innovative or anything, and that's a problem for some people apparently. and that's kind of what like I want to segue into next is this feeling of like being let down by something as hyped as Watch Dogs was. And I don't personally think I never really felt like looking at it and like looking at all the marketing and the everything, like I felt there was more of a focus on kind of like tech kind of stuff than like gameplay kind of stuff when I was watching the the reveal and all that stuff. Like I would watch, I watched the initial reveal in 2012 like everybody, and it had, cool tech stuff to me, like bokeh depth of field and like, like the wind blowing the breeze in the trees and all, all that kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like I noticed in the games because that kind of stuff was not possible on last gen hardware, right?
Yeah.
And so those little subtle things add up to make like a really immersive world to me.
It's like attention to detail.
Right. But when I was watching that initial reveal where he hacks the traffic lights and the cars crash, and that stuff was pretty obviously scripted, like I don't know how anybody could watch that and go, I can't wait to do that. Like him, you can slide over the car just like you could in that thing. You can grab the dude and do the couple shots in his chest like you could in the reveal. Like it's all in there. It's all scripted. It's you just hold down B, and then it just happens for you. But everything they showed in the reveal, as far as I'm aware, is possible in the game, and it just looks a little, it doesn't look as flashy, I guess, but on PC it's pretty close. And I don't know, like when I was watching it, all I got from the reveal was, oh, this is cool from a tech standpoint. This is great looking, and definitely something that we couldn't do on current hardware. I never once went into it going, oh, I can't wait for the first next-gen game that's going to revolutionize open-world gameplay. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And some people seem to just expected the world from this thing, and I don't understand that.
Well, I totally know what you're talking about, because when that trailer came out, I watched it and I was like, that's cool. And then all these people on Twitter and everything were like freaking out.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is going to be so amazing. This is, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, it looks like GTA with
Next gen's here.
like hackers.
Next gen's here. Oh my god.
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't see anything that blew my mind. I mean, it looks nice, and the idea of the hacker stuff and all that on an open world game is a cool idea. But I was like, what's so innovative that you're all freaking out about? I didn't get it. So Watch Dogs was never a oh my fucking god really game for me personally.
No.
So I feel
the same way.
What I always call this is the tempered expectations. And it's best to go in with tempered expectations, because you hype stuff up too much, you're bound to be disappointed. I mean, I think it's very rare for you to get so hyped about something and then actually feel that hype was justified.
It is rare. It's one of the reasons I try at least not to hype myself up, like, over things that are just out of my control completely anyway. Like I'm just, like you said, I would watch the reveal, and I've watched it several times since, like going back and trying to find what people saw in that reveal that was so like mind-blowing or something. And I get it, like it looked really polished, and it looked like, it was really cinematic, and it was incredibly well animated and voice acted, and like it came together, and it was a very impressive demo. But not for 1 second did I think anyone was actually playing that. You know what I mean? Yep. Like it just seemed like another kind of typical farce to me. Like it was one of those, Target demo things. And when they came out and said it was running on like a PC with like 3 GTX 680 graphics cards or something, I was like, come on, really? Like it was like, to me it was no different than the Unreal Engine 4 Samaritan demo, or that was Unreal Engine 3.5. But you know what I mean? Those tech demos that they show off the new engines with. That was basically what I got out of it. That's basically what that was. It was nothing more than like a proof of concept, And then I don't know, like I really struggle with this, because like I just feel like it's giving the game an unfair rap, and it's like the game doesn't deserve it. It never deserved to be hyped that much to begin with. And I'm sitting here and it looks, what does it have, 82 on Metacritic, I think?
Yeah.
Something like that. And, that's... We're in like a kind of different time right now with game critics, I feel, because, at 82, 5 years ago, that was pretty low, honestly. And especially like if a new IP came out and it was hyped to hell and back like this thing was. Yeah, it's at 82. So like if it was a new IP and it was hyped like crazy and it was say Assassin's Creed 1, right? And it got a 82, that would have been considered a failure. Now I don't know cuz like Wolfenstein got a 78.
Oh
and
gosh.
I thought Wolfenstein was freaking amazing, honestly. So if this is an
that's
82,
weird.
if this is an 82, then I guess 80 would be a new excellent score. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
it's funny.
I mean,
you go over to the movie
seriously,
section.
I think that Wolfenstein's one of the best FPS games that's come out in years.
Yeah, I agree. And if you go over to, this is a weird disparity too. Like you go over to, Metacritic doesn't just do games. They do TV, they do music and movies, right?
Yeah.
So you go to the game side, right? You got Mario Kart 8 has an 88. Okay, that's astronomically high, honestly. Like, that's really high. Like for what I'm talking about, today's media, they seem tougher on games for whatever reason right now. And it seems like it kind of like goes in waves. Like they'll fall in love with something and give it like a high score, and then the next few games after that get like unusually high scores, and then you'll have like this kind of dip where like everything gets like a 7 or 8, and you play it and you go, wait a minute, this is like a 10. What's wrong with me? But anyway, so you go over from the game section and you got 88, 82, 78, and then you go over to the movie section and you have X-Men Days of Future Past, which is honestly I thought it was a really good movie, and then you got I think this has a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, and on Metacritic it has a 74. And honestly, like I just feel like movie critics are way harsher on their medium than game critics are.
Oh yeah, for
and
sure.
It's like you have like an 82 as an average score, of like an aggregate. That's pretty high, and people are going 82. Wow, what a letdown! Like I'm like, what are you talking about? Like seriously. Days of Future Past, 74, great movie. Like you have all these. What is this? Million Ways to Die in the West, 44. That's horrible.
Yeah,
That's awful. If a game got a 40 anything, that would be like just a disaster. You would have layoffs. You would have studio closures. Like you
You'd have
have
Ride
to.
to Hell.
Yeah, you have to like temper your expectations, like you were saying. Like if you have an 80 out of 100. That's really high, and that's actually a really good game. And you can't go, oh, this game sucks, it's stupid, it's not very good. And you're like, wait a minute. An 8 out of 10 average of like 100 and some odd reviews, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, even look at GTA 5. It's got a 97.
Does it really?
Yeah.
It's crazy. That's kind of what I'm talking about, though. Like, something like GTA will it's a critical darling, is what I like to call them. It's basically like infallible,
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, yeah, look at all the Grand Theft Autos. And don't get me wrong,
look
I
at
like the
Rockstar
Grand
games.
Theft Autos. Yeah, there you go. I like all Grand Theft Auto games, but it's 94 for Vice City. I mean, okay.
Red Dead's got a 95.
Yeah. I mean, like I just think it's kind of inevitable that certain developers are treated better score-wise,
Blizzard.
than others because they, I don't know. Nintendo's one of them, definitely. Like every Nintendo game, what was it? Remember Jeff Gerstmann? He gave Twilight Princess 8.8. That's an amazingly high score. That's a really good score. But people shat on him for it. They're like, "Are you kidding me? Less than a 9 for a Zelda game? What's wrong with you?" Like, wait a minute, seriously? Like, that's a really good score. And even he said that. He was like, "It's a good score. It's a really good game. I just don't think it's the best." And they're like, "What's wrong with you? How could you give it such a low score?" And you're like, "Okay."
See, I think
Days of Future
personally-
Past, 7.4 out of 10.
I think personally now the reason things are a little different now too with the gaming Metacritic that was there's so many more outlets that are getting their scoring on Metacritic.
so it
and,
drives the
or,
average
you know,
down.
Yeah, and then back in the day, you got to remember we only had like a few online outlets: IGN, GameSpot.
That's true.
And that was about it. And there was a couple others, and they were really close knit units. Like they talked amongst themselves, much like they do now, but with other sites, like Polygon, etc.
Right.
They still have this close knit group. But I think too, it just kind of came this revolution of like we all got to have our own opinions. We can't be because there's been the theories of like how they've they've worked together, these companies, the whole payoff stuff we've heard in the past, and I don't know if that's ever really happened, to an extent or not, but I mean, I would say if it did, if it did happen, it happened then.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen really that so much now. And you can see it in the scores. Like, even something like Watch Dogs. Some people reviewed it really high, and some people really really low, and it's like, or fairly low, and you're just like,
yeah, I saw
really
like a
didn't
5.
like it.
I think somebody gave it a 5 out of 10 or something. I was like, okay, I don't know what you're playing that's worse than Watch Dogs that gives it a 5. But yeah, you're right. Like, one of the things I'm talking about is like BioShock Infinite. I'm looking at it here. To me, that game didn't do anything wholly original at all, and it was pretty derivative gameplay. Like, it was a shooter, and it was like kind of what you'd expect. You know what I mean? And it got a 94, has a 94 Metacritic, and it's like Watch Dogs is kind of the same deal. Like, it's fun. I think I'm having more fun with it than I did BioShock Infinite personally, and it doesn't do anything original, kind of like BioShock Infinite, but it has 12 points lower score average.
And I can already tell you why. BioShock probably most has a better visual design, like Peel, like the design,
yeah,
and that ending. That's
I guess
that's probably what pushed it.
I do think a lot of people were like kind of on a high after playing BioShock Infinite. The ending was cool, so they were like, oh my god, that was an amazing game. And you're like,
actually,
back.
Giant Bomb gave Watch Dogs a 3 stars out of 5, which on Metacritic
yeah,
says a 60.
That's kind of dicey too, because like a 3 out of 5 being translated to a 6 out of 10, I don't think that's really how it should work. It's not.
Yeah.
Like a 3 out of 5, literally, yeah, it's 60%, okay, but a 3 out of 5 is like a recommended like good score. 6 out of 10 is not, at least on the current gaming scale, which is usually 7 to 10. Let's be honest. It's like passing a test or something. It's like if it's below 70, then it's considered it's not really that great. If it's like 75 and up, 75 to 85 or so, it's like that's pretty good. And it's like 85 to 90 for some reason. It's like it's pretty good. And then you go 90 and up, they're like, oh my god, this is one of the best games ever created. And you're like, how many games are one of the best games ever created?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of those apparently. I mean, but yeah, so it's just interesting to me, like the mindset that it's just like gaming in particular has. It's I was saying, because like movies, like you go to Rotten Tomatoes, you get 20s and 30s all the time, like an aggregate. That's not even like that's not even like an outlier to see a 20% review sometimes. Like literally the majority of them. Like, A Million Ways to Die in the West right now, 33% positive on Rotten Tomatoes. And, most of these are just whether or not it's good or, it's either good or bad. Like, it's just a black and white review. And they just, like, Rotten Tomatoes will take, a 3 out of 5 and they'll go, oh, that's fresh, that's positive. And then they'll, go 2 out of 5 and they go, oh, that's horrible, that's a negative. And then they just, basically like do the aggregate, from that. They do the percentage based on how many goods and how many bads.
Yeah.
Metacritic literally like takes a numerical aggregate and like, they like you said, they figure a 2 out of 5 is a 4, a 4 out of 10, and they go, oh well, that's it, it's 4 out of 10. I don't know. So I kind of like how Rotten Tomatoes does the percentage like good, percentage bad, and then kind of works that into it. But I don't know. God. See, 92% X-Men Days of Future Past has a 74 Metacritic.
Yeah.
And that's
like weird.
That's literally considered like one of the best superhero movies made, And it's like okay, so then you get like one of the best games ever made and give it like a 74 Metacritic? Oh, really? Like, you know what I mean? Like that would cause a shitstorm.
I mean, that's just the whole thing with reviews. I still don't understand, like, when it comes to entertainment, why reviews even really exist. Because, gosh, there's so many people in the world with so many different ideas of what's entertaining and what's not.
Yeah.
It's just hard to rate an entertaining thing. And, people have thrown back at me like, well, like, cars get rated and this gets rated, and I'm like, yeah, but that gets rated by performance. If I saw game reviews that were rated by their engine, how well the game
Oh
ran,
wow.
how it
Well,
controlled,
that happens now.
graphical glitches.
Yeah.
Okay, but the minute you start talking about the story and what you liked about the story and what you like about gameplay, well, fuck, I don't care.
Yeah, you're talking about like actual science, basically, like
Yeah.
like numbers and like performance and stuff like that. Yeah, those are things you can document, and those are objective, like literal things that are factual. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's irrefutable that Watch Dogs on PS3 runs like complete ass, and Watch Dogs PS4 does not. And it's literally been documented by Digital Foundry that the PS3 version of Watch Dogs runs at 20 to 25 frames a second and tears like crazy.
And cool. It's like I feel like Digital Foundry is how a review for a game should be.
If you're gonna go like super technical like that.
Yeah, if you're gonna go technical and just how it runs as a game, because otherwise, all I'm really doing is hearing a bunch of opinionated assholes.
Yeah, they're like assholes.
Really?
Everybody has one. That's
Yeah,
the thing, though.
exactly.
Like I guess it just kind of falls like people like to find someone that they identify with. You know?
I
Like,
understand.
and they like to just I don't know. It is weird. It is weird when you think like why do I care what that guy thinks and not that guy? It's like what makes that guy better than that guy?
He has a paycheck, and that guy doesn't.
Well, I guess it comes down to like whether like not everybody can express their opinion in a thorough like manner that can actually kind of be listened to. Like some people literally just they have their opinion, but then everything else that isn't their opinion is wrong, or they have their opinion and it's like they express it by going, "Yeah, well that sucks." And this doesn't, and that's why. And you're like, that's not a review.
It's funny you said that though, because that's the thing I always say. When somebody comes in and says this game sucks, I'm like, well, what does it actually
Compared
suck?
to what? Yeah, compared
Or
to
do
what?
you suck at it, or just don't like it?
That's another problem a lot of times. You played it wrong. I love that one. You played it wrong. I'm like, okay. I actually do think you can play games wrong sometimes. Like because there is sometimes an intended way of going about playing something, like the developer had something in mind, and then sometimes the person can kind of stumble into something and like play it completely differently. And that's kind of one of the cool things about, games in general is that you can kind of choose your own way of playing sometimes. But there is, like in Watch Dogs, like there's definitely an efficient way, a most efficient way of, getting through the story, right? But you can do it like any way you want to. You know what I mean? So, I mean, they obviously had sneaking around in mind, and like the combat is kind of not what they want you to do because, like I say, you can't move bodies. So, like, you're going to get spotted if you just start dropping guys left and right, right? And, like, you have to, they give you all these tools to distract people with. They give you the option of not going into the scene at all a lot of times, just going from camera to camera. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, they obviously would like you to not engage in combat if you can help it, like they didn't just go out of their way to give you all of these possibilities of not engaging in combat just because they wanted something to do,
Hey, can you get that?
Yeah. Hey, would you mind putting up all this stuff in there? I mean, I hope they don't use it, but I just want you to put it in there. Like what?
And, I mean, that's the thing too. It all depends on what the game's designed for. A good example of this is Octodad. I saw some reviews for that game that just said it was horrible, and they were like the controls suck, and it's like actually that's the point. Like it's supposed to be hard as shit to control.
He's an octopus.
That's the humor of like, oh, I'm stumbling with the controller, I'm breaking shit, I'm crashing into stuff, I can't get him up to this thing I'm supposed to get him on. Yeah, there's frustration, I get it, but I mean that's literally how it's been designed, and that's where some of the comedy comes from.
Like duh.
Yeah, somebody was complaining about the Goat Simulator game. Oh, $10 for a broken piece of shit. Well, actually, that's kind of how they were advertising it.
I mean, like
it's just this.
If you go on the Steam forums, a good example of this is the Steam forums for Resident Evil 4, and you got people going, "Why can't I strafe? Where are you going to fix the controls so it controls like Gears of War?" And you're like, "Are you serious?" But in my mind, like I kind of understand. I mean, I totally understand where they're coming from. Like, it can be frustrating, and you'll see people like on the thread on Gaff even going, the game is designed around the controls. Like the controls are designed for the encounters, and the enemies, they run at you, then they stop, and they literally give you a chance to shoot them in the face. You know what I mean? Like the game is completely designed around the controls, and the controls are weird to people that aren't used to them. But you should try to get used to them because pays off in the end, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you start like strafing and, taking cover and doing all the stuff like other shooters do, how easy would the game be? Because the AI is so, it's tuned to react to the system that it's in place,
Yeah.
And
exactly.
it's just, it's silly. Like people expect so many things to be tailored to them, and it's not how it works. You have to like adjust accordingly, basically, So anyway, like back to Watch Dogs, like it's not revolutionary by any means, and it wasn't intended to be. It's an open world Ubisoft game that, remember before it came out, before I even played it, I joked that you would probably have to unlock sections of the map, like guess what you have to do? You have to unlock sections of the map by hacking. Like who would have guessed, But it's an open world Ubisoft game. I don't know what people expected otherwise. Yes, anyway. I don't know. What else could they do in there? What else could they do in Watch Dogs 2 to change it up, do you think?
I mean, from a gameplay perspective, I'm not really sure how much. But
I'll tell you one
I mean,
thing. One thing they can do is give you a reason to want to go on the water. There's
Yeah, that's
literally
true.
no reason to go on the water except to get like a couple of hotspots unlocked if you're going for like a achievement or something. I don't know, but like the water is amazing looking on PC especially, and it's just like the only reason I would go on it is to look at the water. Like that's it. Like I just hop on a boat and I'm like, man, look at the ripples like coming off the back of the boat. All right, well, I guess I'm done with the water in this game forever. It's like, okay. So like, and also apparently there's no cop boats, there's no police boats. So if you're in the middle of a chase, you can just go on a boat and they'll never catch you because they have no boats.
See, that's a weird omission.
The game is full of like weird kind of stuff like that. Like I don't know. I'm struggling to think of one on the spot, of course, right? But yeah, like somebody on Gaff pointed out like there's people waiting at bus stops, but there's no buses anywhere. Like there's never a bus that comes by and picks anybody up. So like, what are they waiting for? And why are they there? Where are they going?
I don't know.
And what is it? A lot of the attention to detail is kind of funny. There were a couple of things I saw. One of them was like, there were two guys shooting up heroin, and they were sharing a needle. And if you do the scan on them, one of them says he's HIV positive, and the other one says blood donor.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like what? And what was the other one? Also, somebody brought up a good point in that. He said, if you kill both of those guys, think of all the lives you'd be saving in reality, right? But of course, the game's useless reputation system, by the way, we didn't even touch on that. The reputation system doesn't even really do anything. I think it just has like people calling cops or something, like whenever they see you if you have a bad reputation. But anyway, it gives you bad reputation for killing two civilians. But those two civilians are like some of the worst people imaginable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you're basically being a hero, and it's like, oh, sorry, you killed two innocent people. Well, no, they're not innocent. What's wrong with you? Don't you know what I just did? So anyway, but what was the other one was there was apparently a guy like banging an Asian chick, and it said if you scan the woman, it said like human traffic or something like that. She was being like, I was like, what? Yeah, they just like went to town with like the little details
how
like that.
How messed
in there.
up it can be.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's just they just put like all kinds of depraved stuff in there, basically because that's how Ubisoft is. I mean, look at the cover of Far Cry 4 for crying out loud.
That's true.
Right? Thanks. Yeah, just give Jim Sterling more stuff to pile on to them about. He's like, thank you, I appreciate the topics for the week. I'm like, okay, that's great. So anyway, what else did you want to talk about? Anything? I got Mario Kart. You got to touch on Mario Kart?
You can touch on it, yeah, because we're running out of time.
Yeah, we got like 10 minutes left. But Mario Kart 8 just came out on Tuesday or Friday. When did it come out? Friday.
It came out Friday, actually.
Yeah, Friday. Nintendo's weird about it. They release games like on the weirdest days. They sometimes have Sundays and then Friday. Anyway, so I picked it up on Friday. I'll be honest, I only picked it up because it came with a free game. Like I don't buy games retail. Like everybody knows this. I buy them either used or on sale, and I buy most of my games on PC because, it's cheaper. You can just anyway, so It's the first retail game I've like bought for actual retail price for in a long time, and I got Wind Waker HD out of it because I wanted to do screenshots of it. So anyway, but yeah, the game's actually it's cool, but like it's really kind of bare bones. Like people were talking about the menu system, for example. Like there's no options, like there's no sound options or anything like that. The gamepad integration is really weird. Like the mini map is on the on the gamepad, and it's never on the screen. There's no option to put it up on the screen, so you can't ever see the map while you're racing. You have to look down at your controller in order to see the map. It's pretty useless. And it's weird because like if they aren't going to make good use of the, and when you're racing, by the way, like, it's just a horn. The screen in your hand is just a horn. So they literally make no use of it. Why don't they drop it from the SKU if they're not going to make games surround, They don't like even okay, if you play Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, the screen actually turns itself off while you're playing that game. Like it doesn't make any use of it at all. And I'm like, they'd probably save themselves $100 off a SKU or something, because I think that thing costs like $100 to make. So like they could probably make up a lot of ground by dropping the price significantly if they actually came out with a new SKU for the Wii U, but they seem just hell-bent on not doing that. It's just kind of weird because they're not even focusing on using it in their own games. And I'm like, what's the point then, It's really kind of weird to me. But anyway, so online's fun. You can do one player online, obviously, or you can do 2-player split screen online. I only played Mario Kart Wii a few times. This is my first Mario Kart since like I don't even know. I guess since the DS game. But like it has, I don't know. It's pretty limited feature wise. And it's funny because it doesn't have like a story mode. People were asking like why it doesn't have a kind of story mode like Sonic All-Stars does. And I think even like Diddy Kong Racing had a story mode. You know what I mean? So like it's kind of weird that they don't bother putting that kind of stuff in. And then it runs at 720p and it doesn't have any anti-aliasing at all. So it's full of jaggies if you take screens of it. It looks awful, which is sad. But anyway, other than like the stuff I just mentioned that I just kind of complained about, like it's actually a solid game. It's a lot of fun. My roommates have been playing it for the past couple days, and I don't know, we had like 6 people, I guess, like taking turns. It's one of those games. It's like I talk to guys I work with who are probably 20, 21, and they were like, oh no, my friend's getting the new Mario Kart, like I'm gonna go play that. And I'm like, wait, your friend has a Wii U, first of all, you know what I mean? Like, and then second, it's like, wow, like Mario Kart has that kind of appeal. So if anything could actually, I'm not going to say save the Wii U, but help it, I'm guessing Mario Kart would be it. So hopefully it takes off and does well for them. But in the next iteration, I would like some more depth in there, I guess, because it's basically literally they have the battle mode, which I've heard sucks. Like I haven't played it personally, but people were disappointed with that. And then the racing is good. It's solid. The tracks are awesome. I love the race tracks. They're fantastic. But aside from like the cups and just playing online like forever, because that's where the appeal really comes from, right? Is multiplayer. Aside from like that kind of stuff, it's basically like it has as much depth like the original Super NES game. It's really kind of I don't know, shallow, I guess. But it's fun to play, and it's just
kind of doing what it's always done.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's the funny thing though, is like people go like, "Well, I'm so tired of Mario Kart." I'm like, dude, this is the 8th game in 19 years, or 20, 21 or 2 years or whatever. I think it came out in like 92. So like, 2 decades and you have 8 games. Call of Duty has more than that in the past 10. You know what I mean? So like,
yeah.
It's silly to really bitch about like the same old because it doesn't come out that often. But at the same time, yeah, I guess I see what people are complaining about. But it is nice to look at. It's really pretty. It's really colorful. I love like having a colorful game to look at for once.
There's always got to be complaints.
Well, that's the thing, like we're talking about. Like we have it pretty good right now, honestly. Gamers, like the games coming out, we have a lot of high quality stuff. We have a lot of good indie stuff coming out,
We're flooded.
There's a lot of stuff to play, and you've got it good when to find criticisms you really have to kind of like I don't want to say they're not like invalid criticisms. They're just kind of nitpicky. You know what I mean? Like being buggy in an open world. Okay, yeah, sure. Like you said, what open world game isn't buggy? And oh, by the way, anyone played Skyrim? Holy crap! You know what I mean? Like, and that's considered one of the better games released in the past console generation. So it's like, okay, you just have to kind of like learn to deal with some stuff and learn to overlook it and expect it. Like you have to temper your expectations, which was basically the theme of tonight's show. So, thanks for partaking in it with us, everyone.
Yeah,
So
I think we covered it pretty good though.
yeah, we did. We stretched that really, really, really thin. So anyway, yep. What did you learn tonight, Justin? I feel like it's about time to.
I learned that
get out of here.
more people actually buy the Wii U than I guess I thought.
Well, we'll see. I don't know how well it's actually going to translate into sales, but
True.
it was interesting because these were people that I literally didn't even think knew what the Wii U was. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, because there's still some confusion over whether or not it's just like a controller expansion or something among people, and it's been a year and a half, more than that. It's like a year and 8 months now or something. So it's really indicative of like how poorly marketed the thing has been. But at the same time, it's kind of refreshing because it's not like a bang bang kill everything game, and
Yeah.
it's about like multiplayer, like local multiplayer first and foremost, which is sadly missing in everything now. Nothing gets
Yeah.
split screen anymore. Split screen is so much fun, especially when you're like, just not in the right state of mind. Anyway, so but yeah, like the whole feeling of community and all that shit, like it's just cool to see a game like rated E for everyone, literally appealing to everyone, So,
Yeah, and I mean that was some of the success I think with the original Wii and the sports games. So
Yeah. yeah, that was one reason I liked the Wii a lot, was because it had so many like local multiplayer games. You couldn't find those on Xbox and PlayStation. Everything was online. Even like games that had split screen at one point, like Need for Speed and stuff like that, had it stripped out and they're online only now. Burnout, Burnout without
shame.
multiplayer. What? Anyway, so what did you learn other than that? That's all I learned. I didn't learn anything.
Yeah, I mean that's it. I mean I learned I need to actually play my Mario Kart since I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, I would get on that. There's a way to play like a GAF tournament. You should get in on that.
I should.
You have to go in the OP of the thread, and you can like quote it. You have to quote it. You have to be like a member of GAF to be able to. But anyway, you have to quote it, and it's like hidden in there.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. Appreciate you
Thank
listening as usual. You can find me on Twitter at It's Don Allen, all one word, and DonAllenDoes.com is my website. And Justin, where can they find you?
They can find me at @SlasherJPC or also /JPC on YouTube.com. And just a quick little note here: I'll probably be talking about Murdered Soul Suspect next podcast. So
Cool. And next week, by the way, E3. So it'll be our like leading up to E3 episode, right?
yeah, since it's the next, not this
Yeah.
week, next week,
Right,
yeah.
because it starts.
Yep.
E3 starts the 9th, I think. So it's like
Yes,
the
sir.
next day after our podcast. So,
Yep.
All right. Tune in next week, and until then, take care of yourselves and each other.
Yeah.